Well, alright, we're back on the ute. Gotta get something done on this car. I've been procrastinating. I do that a lot. It's a thing. Anyway, tonight we're going to do the tail lights. Hopefully get the tail light board made and mounted, and then I'm going to get an electrician to come out during the week, and he's going to hook up the tail lights and the lift so the tray goes up and down. I'll show you that real quick. Around my tail light board, I've actually already started. And then I went, you know what? I should really make a video. So that's my tail light panel. I had that folded up. Got some holes drilled in there for my tail lights, number plate and number plate light. So that's all happening. But let me show you this first. Kind of important. I wanted the tray to sit here, but sitting here means you can't get to the fuel filler. It's up under here. I wanted that clean look to the side of it without the fuel filler. So that is where the tray sits. And to overcome that issue, I know this seems like a really long way around doing this, but I made up an electric motor so the tray actually tilts so you can put fuel in the car. And it's a big motor, so you can, whatever's on the back of it, and it's not going to be an issue. We can tilt it, and it's not going to be a problem. You can load the whole back of the truck up. I think it's like electric scissor jack, of all things. And it can pick up like 2 ton of car, so I'm going to be fine for picking the tray up. It's not going to be a problem at all. So that's where I'm at. I'm going to make up some brackets. We'll go back around here for a second. Make up some brackets and mount them to this rear panel here. One down low, one up a bit higher, and it's going to mount to that. I have to remember to put a hole in it right here so that we can still get the spare wheel out. So that is tonight's order of business. Get cracking. Got the panel here ready to go. Let's see, I already put these holes in. Just got to weld these corners up. All those ones there, so that's going to be that. Some holes in the bottom. I think it's going to have 2 holes there with a piece of angle iron behind it. The same in the top. I'm just going to find that crucial hole for the spare wheel. That's going to be the hard part. So I'm going to weld these corners up for now. I've already made a piece for this. I'm going to put some nutserts in that and then weld that to the back brace of the car. So that ought to be that, and then I'll work out the top panel. So that's it, just a simple MIG weld, nothing too fancy there. I'm going to hit it with a grinder, clean all the corners up, make it look like it's one little pressed out piece. Just like that, we were all metal finished. So just welded them, ground them back, 3 stages of grinding, just a regular flap disc. And then the little, I call them a spaghetti wheel. It's just a little wheel. It looks like spaghetti, where is it? I'm going to show. Yeah, it's a bit worn out, that one. It's a red one. They come in different colors for different grades. And then this one here on the grinder, which is actually a stainless steel finishing wheel, but if you prep with something for paint, it brings it back looking really, really nice. Hit that with the orbital. Happy days. So, with that being done, I've got this piece over here, which is what I'm going to weld to the back of the ute. It's got some holes, bang some nutserts in that fellow. I think we're ready to set it all up, and hope I don't get it crooked. So that's what that piece looks like with a couple of nutserts in it. Love nutserts. Very cool. Go to lick of paint first so we don't get any rust in the back of it. Come back over to this panel here. I'm going to bolt him into those holes there. Hang on. The one-man show. Bam, just like so. That's where I'm going to weld this panel, the black piece, to the back of the ute, and I should bolt this on. Replicate the same on the top, which I have absolutely zero plan for at this stage. I'll work that as I go, and that'll mount the sucker. After a small amount of pondering, I came up with this idea. So this is going to be welded across this face here. Now I want it to sit it so it sits correct. And if I use this piece under here, it overhangs by this distance here, which is about 15 millimeters. So that means this edge here, if you can see my finger moving, this one over here, is going to sit on that back edge, which will give us a nice level to the back edge fit, and it'll give me something to work with. And I can weld the top, tack the bottom, pull the whole thing, weld it, mount it. That's the plan. Prepped all these spots here on the back where we're going to weld to. I was going to nutsert this, but if you're going to drill a hole in it, you might as well just put a little weld here, and we'll have it welded on there, and the rest is nutserted. Otherwise I had nutserts here, nutserts in the other bits, just a lot of moving parts. Lock it down there and just have the nutserts to make the panel removable so that I can wire all the tail lights and whatnot. Well, that's her tacked up. Pull that off, weld those 2 backing pieces. Got my bolts, top and bottom. So yeah, I'm gonna lock that down, and we're ready to move on to fitting up some. Oh, I gotta paint it. Better paint it than put some tail lights in. I'm just gonna paint it black. Just want it to blend in. Don't really want it seen too much. Just got this little fellow prepped up, so that's looking pretty schmick. Both sides, sanded it to 380. I need a little bit of bite, being that it's a zinc panel. and then just hit it with the Scotch-Brite cloth. It's rather nice, actually. So I'm going to paint the back of it black, give it a few minutes, flip it. I'm actually just going to rattle can it, purely because I don't have any 2-pack. I didn't want to go buy just a little bit of 2-pack. I'm going to rattle can the chassis as well. So rattle can that back panel, and it came out really good, so I'm happy enough with that. It's a good, good quality one wherever it went. It's over there. Anyway, let's do it. I was going to push my luck and try and fit this up tonight, but I think I'm going to do the right thing, which is pretty odd for me, and let it dry for a couple of days, and then we'll put the tail lights in and get it fitted up. But that's off just a little pressure pack. It's going to look just perfect. I just wanted to blend in with the back and disappear a bit. Tail lights are coloured, so I did have some other ones, but I already made this up with the coloured ones before I found the non-coloured ones, so I'm just going to live with it. I just want to move forward and get it done. I need some progress on this thing because the gasser is sitting right behind that scrap metal bin there. I really want to get hooking into that car, and I just want to drive this one. I want it on the road. So this won't be the end. I'll just, in 3 seconds, you guys will see me fitting this up. But for me, I'm going home for the night. Well, it's been a couple of days. Been leaving this out in the sun, letting it gas out so the paint all seals up properly. And I come back down tonight to, well, we'll get that part done, but there's some more pressing issues that I really got to deal with. I've been putting off because it's a sucky job. So let me take you around the front of the car and I'll show you what I got. It's a coil pack. Down there is the spark plugs. Now these things run a funky freaking spark plug, and these are all fouled up and doesn't want to run properly. I have actually changed them once already. Here they are. Gotta get them forward genuine. They're such a weird thing. I'll get this one out of the box here. Oh, so this is it. Looks very different to your regular spark plug. Ain't that something? And it's buried right in the head. So I'm going to change out all 8 of them again because it's fouled them. I worked out this car had a problem with the cat converters when I bought it, and it's caused a few issues. It just needs a good run. The computer needs to relearn the new exhaust that I put on it, and it'll be totally fine. I've seen this plenty of times before with block cat converters. Thankfully, I've got a lot of experience in that. These are different to the American ones. I've heard all sorts of different stories, but I believe they run a slightly different cylinder head because they do take a different spark plug. The American ones have big issues. You'll see it all over the internet, and people keep crapping on about it. This part of the spark plug where the thread is different and separate to this. And they separate. You gotta take the plug out, you only have half the plug come out and the rest is stuck in there. These, you can see they're a one-piece steel unit, so these ones don't have the issue. Oops, gotta stop throwing that little fellow. So, so we're talking a little bit funny. It's actually really cold tonight. I'm freezing. It's not the, workshop's not a very warm place in the middle of winter. So anyway, I won't bore you too many details. Rip out all these spark plugs, change them all over, get it running right again. Got a new battery for it too. We won't spend too much time on that. Then I'll get back to this tail light panel because that is of the utmost importance. Alright, I'm going to find some motivation and get stuck into this thing. This is what I'm working with. It's just pulled number 1 plug out, and you can see how bad that is. That is nasty. This car just gets started up, backed out, turned off, started up, driven in every day. They were new 6 months ago. It's just from being moved in and out. It's just really unhappy at the moment. So I'll get these plugs in there with the tail light panel on the car. I'll be able to get a day permit, take it for a freaking decent drive and just get it hot and get everything working properly again. I'll disconnect the battery, let the computer relearn, do all those sorts of tricks. It'll come back around. I'm not too bothered. Alright, that is our spark plugs. They are pretty nasty. This guy here looks like he was firing. So does this one here. That was about it. It's about right. It was running like 2 cylinders. It was terrible. So, nonetheless, hopefully a good run will sort this car out. It had totally blocked cats, like it barely drove, which is never good for a car. It'll mess with the computer, it won't know how to react to that. Especially these earlier ones where they've only got the 1 oxygen sensor. When they've got the before and after cat sensors, they can work it out better, but without that they can't really work out why it won't run right and they just keep fueling, so it's probably stuck in that loop. Turn my hand to this. Let's load up some tail lights, get it mounted. Gotta look at some wiring for the tray. Yeah, let's make it look like a car again. So I can get this darn thing registered. Okie dokie, this is where we're at. Tail light panel's all nice and dry now. Have that time to gas away and let all the stuff that's in the paint get out so that it dries. I don't know, science happened, alright? This is our combination. We go on an angle. I don't know. I ordered this tail light panel without measuring it correctly, and it's actually, I wanted this edge here with the edge of the chassis, and it's not. But I've painted it black and the chassis black, and I think it looks just fine. I really wanted some other tail lights. I couldn't get them at the time, so got these suckers off eBay. Just, I don't know, they were really quite cheap. I think the whole lot cost like $40, so I'm sure they're bound to fail. Might buy another set just to be sure. So I will just load all these up in this tail light panel, get a little reverse number plate light, reverse lights, and then the auto electrician can wire this stuff up. I can do wiring. I'm actually reasonably good at it, but I really dislike it. So therefore, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to pay someone. So I'm going to sit here and start doing this. These are some tray bolts. I'm going to hold the tray down. It's only mock-up bolts at the moment. I must remember to change them before I do too much with this car. Anyways, I believe I am rambling again. That happens. You're probably used to it. Go through and load all these up, and we'll have a look at it and fit her up. Someone said this really high. Tall people, short people, I don't know. Anyways, back down a bit of height. Combination is going to be, we're going to go with the ambers, the indicators, brakes, and then reverse lights as we go on in. Unfortunately, these don't really allow for the plugs. Like when you put plugs on the back of this, if you ever need to change one out, it's going to be a cut and rejoin. It's a future problem. I'm not going to worry about it too much right now. Load it up. Hopefully they last. You know, everything's made in China these days anyways, right? So surely they're good. Got nice little bolts, nylocks and everything like that. So we should be pretty sweet to roll with everything I have here, and we'll put it all together. Might time lapse it. Might do some photos. I don't know. You're about to find out. Stay tuned. That's that light done. Clean. Switch it over. We'll get the other side knocked out. Yeah, you can see on the back there my bolts are way too long, which is one of my pet hates. But the nut and bolt shop up the road, that's all they had. So as much as I dislike greatly people who use bolts that are just way too long, I just use bolts that are way too long. I'm now my own worst enemy. But it's what they had to get the job done in a nice quality zinc thing without going down to Bunnings and paying, you know, an extravagant amount of money for some garbage bolts. So they're good bolts. They're going to do the job. I don't really plan on taking it apart again, so hopefully it stays together and works just nicely. This side. Well, that's us. The Milwaukee ratchet's a damn good thing. It's nice and controlled, didn't go too hard on it at all. So there we have it. All mounted and ready to go back on the car. I think I may have a problem with a couple of screws sticking through. I know I do, they're number plate screws. So I might just go drill out some bigger holes for them. So just when they go in, they're going to hit up against that piece of box section we put in there. So I think I'm just going to drill a hole in it so that when it goes on, these will just protrude clean all the way through. I also need to make these bolts so that I can easily undo them, because I have to actually swing the number plate out of the way to access this hole here, which is what allows us to get the spare wheel in and out. So it's a little unsightly, but it had to be there, so it is there, it's practical. So that is that. Throw it on the car and see what we got. Well, that's how it fits up. I am not going to say I'm proud of that. I think all the colors just look wrong. I think the angles look wrong. But I've already made all this stuff up, so I am going to run it. I'll probably change it down the track though, because it kind of bothers me a fair bit. I really don't think that looks like the way I wanted it to look for the car. Anyway, let's not worry about it. I do have some other tail lights. I can make up another panel. For now, that is going to do the trick, I think. And just get it on there and get it done. We can move on to the next part. So that'll have to do, I guess. We'll get this sucker wired up ASAP. That way we can have all the tail lights working. The tray will tilt the way it's meant to. That's just, it's an electric motor underneath the tray, so that's not going to be a big deal. New spark plugs are in. I got a battery on charge, so we'll give it a good run and clear it all up a little bit. Thing's been sitting for a long time, so good run should bring it back around. With brand new plugs in it, it runs so good it's ridiculous. So hopefully we can sort that out without too many issues. I'm going to sign this one off right here. I think it's probably enough for one episode. Next episode, hopefully we'll be doing the springs. Actually, hold that thought. I'll show you the spin yous around again. Must be getting a little dizzy by now. Springs are sitting here in the corner. They're actually the springs out of the car, and I had them reset. The springs I've got for the car, as much as it looks mad at this ride height, they've got no load-bearing springs in them, so it's pretty bouncy. I can't really bounce it and hold a camera at the same time. It's pretty bouncy, and if I want to carry a load, they're just not going to work. So put the other springs back in with the load keepers in it, and the front end is getting some King's lowered springs, which I've got. So that'll be that. I was going to get some coilovers in the front and match TN shocks in the rear, but they ended up on Callum's drift ute because a set of TN coilovers that are 3-stage adjustable and all the good fruit on them, probably better off in a drift car than they are in a street car. So that's where they ended up. So I'm just going to lower the front just the good old-fashioned way. That's not a problem for me. I'm going to paint the chassis up, clean that tow bar up, keep the tow bar. I want to use the car, so we're going to keep the tow bar on it. That's going to round out all those things. That'll probably be the next video. We'll get an exhaust on it as well. It's sort of half made. And then we're good for rego. So that's pretty darn exciting. When you're back around again, God, it's a lot of back arounds and anyway, if you're not too dizzy by now and you like this, please like the video, subscribe. That would be cool too. So yeah, we'll have a new video for you real soon. Thanks for watching, and I'm out.